Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested.com. I'm here at New York Comic Con, and there's an area here called The Block that features one of my favorite things, collectible toys. Now this is Klim. Klim is the creative director of Bigshot Toys.
Yes.
And you guys work behind the scenes in developing a lot of the collectibles that I see being sold by companies like Sideshow and even Mondo.
Yes.
So tell me about Bigshot Toys and what you guys do.
We are a development studio, and we offer a service to our clients where we take a concept sometimes from a napkin sketch and an idea all the way through production. Sometimes our clients come to us with a concept that's pretty fleshed out, and we do sculpture, prototyping, developing for production. Sometimes we take whatever the concept is all the way through our factory partners in China, produce the things, deliver it to them. Or in cases like this Raynor or this Iron Giant that we did for Mondo, we just handle the digital development, the articulation design, engineering, sometimes tooling, and then hand off the package to the client to take it into production in their factories in China.
What you mentioned there, from talking about the articulation design, the CAD design, toy development today must be so different than what it was like 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
Yes.
You can do so much now with toy design. Like when Sideshow came to you and they said they had a license to do a Raynor with Blizzard, right? Yeah. You know their game assets. Like, is that the first thing you ask for? You go, I want the Blizzard game assets to start off with?
Nice. We want, like, if there's source material, like a digital file, whether it's like the original animation file from Iron Giant or the cinematic file from the Raynor from StarCraft, or any of the other pieces that we worked on before, we want those. We want to take a look at them to be as authentic as possible. Like in the case of the Iron Giant, we got the file, but it was from whenever the movie came out.
Yeah.
So it was completely useless for any kind of production, but it was perfect for us to get the exact detail idea and silhouette idea of where everything is, and then take that and design all of the movement around it to make sure that the figure did everything that it's supposed to do.
Because there was that CG model, but they probably used shaders and didn't have all the polygons or all the rivets and nuts, and so you still have to sculpt it.
Yes, we have to take the asset, use it as reference, almost like a tracing paper type of deal, and you rebuild the entire piece part by part by part by part, and you have to figure out. With Iron Giant, it's mechanical, so the design was really well executed. So all of the moving parts were there, but a lot of the stuff wasn't really worked out in practical terms. Like, how does this ball joint, sit inside this shoulder to enable this motion, and then how do we get this to move? So this is like an independent piece. So that's like nerdy stuff that we have fun trying to figure out all the time. It's like, how do you get as much motion into a figure and still retain its original look without deviating from the form? Because that's what everybody really cares about, is the form, the attitude, and the iconic poses, like the Superman, and like the sitting down, and you go, I stay, no following. How do we get those poses from these figures without changing it so it doesn't look right?
And sometimes it's really tough. You have really thin parts. I remember toys when I was a kid had articulation, but they cheat. They were never exactly the same proportions, all the details. And now, like you said, collectors want both. So for something like Raynor, how do you go about deciding how many features to pack in?
Well, this one, because this is such a complicated piece, there's 524 individual pieces in this figure. So that's the tooling alone on that is enough for like my whole house and everything in my whole house. And so it's a huge investment. So everybody at Sideshow, everybody at Blizzard, all they were very focused on trying to be as authentic as possible to capture every single detail of the piece. And sometimes, because it was such a new thing, like I've never done anything like this before.
You said it took 2 years of your life to design this?
Because there was an approval process, and then there was a technical process of actually once the model is done and once you have a prototype, you have to tool it, and then you have to make sure that all the parts fit properly and move properly, and then you have like this really complicated paint job, because if they're making like 1,000 pieces, every single one of these scratches, it's not a mistake. It's not there because somebody blasted a laser at it. It's like an intentional spot that has to be perfect in every single piece. You know, the portrait has to work out, like the visor, everything has to fit perfectly and work every single time. So most factories, when this thing first came out to China, most factories like, no.
They can't do it.
Yeah, because it's like the amount of time it takes on the production line, because these are all assembled by hand. It's not like there's no machine, there's no special magical, you know, made in China doesn't mean magic, you know, so everything has to be assembled by a human, by hand, on the assembly line process, thousands of times perfectly over and over and over again. So the level of complexity and the level of, you know, potential disasters, like if the arm breaks, or if a screw's not in right, or if it's not glued properly, you're screwed. Yeah, and so you have to, you know, for somebody like Sideshow, they can't be replacing $500 action figures. Yeah. You know, if you're making 1,000 Iron Giants, you can't be. The last thing you want is somebody to love this thing so much that they spend $300 on it, bring it home, and it's broken, because then your entire experience of this thing is busted. You know, it's like I've had toys like the finger breaks, or, you know, you glue it, but then you're not looking at it the same way. You know, so we're always trying to make sure that everything is as perfect as it can be. Like with this guy, my biggest pet peeve is figures that don't stand.
Themselves, yeah.
Yeah. So we have
both of these do stand. They don't need their own stand.
He's a little top heavy.
Yeah.
That's because he's just got so much stuff, because the battery pack in there. But we added like rubber bushings in here, and instead of just like having like straight cut hips, there's like a ball joint in there that's like nicely tightly rolled, so you can do like a little hip action to give him a little bit of personality, so he can just kind of stand. And we're always also really fortunate that we have clients like Brock at Mondo, and like all of the guys at Sideshow, like Matt Bishop over there. Like, they're really passionate about this stuff, and they want this stuff to be as perfect as it can be. And they sort of just like, you know, they're art directing me on what to do. And they're like, we need this to be like this, or we want this changed, or we want this slightly different. But we're all in it to make the perfect, you know, Iron Giant or the perfect Raynor. So we're all always working together to just try to balance out the practicality and you know, wouldn't it be cool if, but then, you know, gravity sets in, and materials.
And the materials as well.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting problem-solving challenge. The engineering of high-end collectible toys.
It's always like that. Because then you like there's stuff that like you can get so focused in on one little thing and you forget something else. Yeah. So you're always like figuring things out in your head, like what can go wrong, and I like there are points where like I get projects in where the first thing that I do when I look at something isn't like how cool can it be, it's like how can this thing go sideways, right? And how can I avoid that from happening during the entire production process, which winds up costing time, money, and lots of, you know, screaming people in China.
So when we tell people to pay attention to detail and how much attention to detail goes in the toys, it's not just the aesthetics, it's not just the paint job, not even the sculpting, there's the engineering, and that's what you guys do. Thank you so much, Klim, for chatting with me and sharing with me some of this information. This is so cool. I could sit here and talk for an hour with you about toys, but we had so much more to see at New York Comic Con.
Awesome.
Please check out their products.
BigshotToyworks.com.
BigshotToyworks.com. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.